Not so long ago I took a taxi and lit a cigarette. When we stopped at the traffic lights, the driver asked me, "Have you a match by any chance, lady?" I handed him the box, and as he returned it, but before he could thank me without really thinking, I said out of habit, "Don't mention it." Whereupon he replied, "I haven't thanked you yet. Why did you say don't mention it?" "Oh, it's not important." "Excuse me, but it is important. You should have waited until I thanked you before saying don't mention it." "It really doesn't matter." I insisted, somewhat surprised. "Of course it matters." His tone was that of a man defending sacred laws which had suddenly been violated. It was as if he had trodden on dangerous territory. I took a closer look at him and saw just how little freedom he enjoyed and how much he needed to make himself imprisoned, and others too. I then tried to make amends by speaking to him gently. "Really, young man, it isn't all that important." But he was not to be appeased. "Next time, lady, you wait until you're thanked." There was nothing more to be done. His stubborn attitude was beginning to irritate me. For the rest of the journey we did not speak, and if ever there was a mute silence, that was it.
Perhaps this is one of the most important experiences known to man and beast, the need to seek someone's help and receive it out of sheer generosity and understanding. Perhaps it is worth being born in order to make a silent plea and be heard. I have pleaded for help, and received it. I then felt like a dangerous tiger with an arrow stuck in its flesh, a tiger circling the terrified onlookers to discover who had inflicted this terrible pain, until someone sensed that a wounded beast is no more dangerous than a child. Bravely approaching the tiger, the stranger carefully removed the arrow. And the tiger? Certain things defy words of gratitude from humans and animals. So I, the tiger, slowly circled several times in front of my good Samaritan, paused and licked my paws before withdrawing in silence, since words are unimportant.
Nina is a quiet woman from Minas who works here at our house, and when she speaks, which is rarely, her voice sounds muffled. I have never had a maid called a Aparecida, yet every time I am about to call a Nina, the only name that comes to mind is Aparecida. A Nina moves through the house like a silent apparition. One morning she was tidying up a corner of the sitting room as I sat sewing in the opposite corner. Suddenly, no, not suddenly, nothing is sudden with her, but rather like a long, drawn-out silence, I could hear her voice asking me, as if reluctant to break the silence, "Does Madame write books?" Taken aback, I said yes. Without interrupting her work or raising her voice, she asked me if I could lend her one of my books. I felt embarrassed, but decided to speak frankly. I told her I did not think she would enjoy my books, because they are complicated. Whereupon, still tidying up with her voice sounding even more muffled, she replied, "I like complicated things. I can't stomach sugared water."
He is wearing his spectacles all the time as he goes searching for them throughout the entire house. Now and then he says to himself with satisfaction, "How fortunate I am to be able to see everything so clearly today. This should make it easier to find my spectacles." Sometimes, in the middle of searching, he begins to think to himself, I can see so well today that I might not need my spectacles for reading anymore. He only realizes that he has been wearing his spectacles all the time when he adjusts them to read before going to sleep. He feels so bitterly disappointed. No wonder I thought I did not need my spectacles anymore.
Tomorrow I shall be 10 years old. I intend to make the most of this last day of my 9th year. There is a pause. Sadness. Mummy, my soul is not yet 10 years old. How old then? I guess about 8 years old. Don't worry, that's how it should be. But I think we should count our years by our soul. People would then say, that chap died at 20, and the chap had died, but with a 70-year-old body. Later he began to sing, then stopped and said, I'm singing happy birthday to myself. But Mummy, I haven't really made much of my 10 years. Yes, you have. No, I don't mean much in the sense of doing this and that. What I mean is that I have not really been very happy. What's wrong? Why are you looking so sad? I'm not sad. Come here and let me give you a kiss. Didn't I tell you? Didn't I say you're looking sad? You can't stop kissing me, and when you give someone all those kisses, it's because you're feeling sad.
Pleasure brings so much pain that one almost prefers familiar sorrow to unaccustomed pleasure. True happiness cannot be explained or understood. It is best compared to the beginnings of some irretrievable disaster. This complete fusion is unbearably consoling, as if death were our greatest and final good. Only it is not death, it is immeasurable life which comes to resemble the splendor of death. One must absorb happiness little by little, for it is emergent life, and let those lacking in strength cover each nerve with a protective membrane, with the membrane of death, in order to withstand life. That membrane might consist of some formal act of protection, of silence, or some words without meaning. For pleasure it is not to be toyed with. We are that pleasure.
I have struggled all my life to cure this tendency to daydream, lest it should carry me into remote waters. But the effort of swimming against this gentle current takes away some of my vital strength. And if, in fighting off daydreams, I gain in terms of action, I inwardly lose something very precious which can never be replaced. But one of these days I shall have to go without worrying where I might end up.